Spring run 3, about mid-April 2025. CFS is approximately 57. You can see how low it is. Generally, the water level would be up here. Now we barely just got trickles coming through the spring run. This is a major spring run, should produce 20 to 30% of the total spring flow on an average. You can see it's pretty much dry once you get just up past the second bridge. So yeah, riffle beetle habitat all through here, Comal salamanders all in here, Stigobromus, Pex cave amphipod in the rock area when it's flowing. All of this should be springs coming up out of the side of the hill. You can see there's still a few flowing up here. Yeah, so there's one spring flowing. But again, the water level would normally be way up here. So this would be about a foot, 12 inches, 10 to 12 inches underwater this spring normally. But anyway, still good. Riparian habitat, green. I'm using this bare area now, which would normally be underwater, to start getting some sedges and other plants growing to help stabilize the bank, which has been eroding for a long time. We got buttonbush, emery sedge we planted last year. It's finally going off. Got a walnut we planted about a year ago. I grew from seed, doing really well. Bomeria coming out. We've stabilized the bank with some logs and brush. And then we've got elderberry planted back in there. So, bad, but the good news is this at least gives us a chance to stabilize this eroding toe. So when it does come back, we're not getting a lot of sediment, or hopefully we're getting a lot less sediment and erosion, crumbling bank and stuff. All of that is kind of better protected. So no, we'll see. Pretty bleak, but you know, could get worse, could get better. Either way, we'll see what Tom tells. So here we are in the middle of Spring Run 3, and basically the water is just barely a trickle here. Here's the channel. Again, normally the water level would be all the way up here. This would be flowing, all this would be underwater, flowing pretty swiftly. And you can see it's just hardly flowing at all. You can tell how fast it's dropped within the last couple of days. This is all moss on rocks and it's all still wet. So just a couple of days, about last week, the water level was up to here. So it's moved significantly further down into the channel within the last week. Hydrocaudal is creeping in. These would all be flowing springs right here, pretty much all the way down. This is pretty much stagnant here. Again, great riffle beetle habitat through here when it's flowing. And so we've actually, last couple of weeks, we've added a lot more wood into the channel, just to give riffle beetles more habitat. They like wood. They like the algae that grows on the wood, so the more wood in the stream, the better. So yeah, we're trying to take advantage of a very bad situation, but we will see. You can see the erosion underneath this wall. This wall is probably 100 years old. Original wall for Landa Park. And sometimes you can see water coming out from under there, so I'm sure all of this where the parking lot is now has all been backfilled. It was probably all springs historically. I don't know that for sure, but my guess is, and all that has been backfilled. Retention wall was put in, and the spring run was channelized. So this is the upper part of Spring Run 3. Water comes up to this point and then pretty much just stops. And the rest of the run is bone dry right now. So there should be four foot of water in here. Water should be coming from the bottom. It should be gushing out of these two orifices right here in a stream. Should be springs coming out of this rock face here. Should be water coming out of here. All this should just be one continuous area of spring flow, and we got nothing. So this is Spring Run 1, the main spring into Comal. Lately we've been trying to stabilize the hillside here because lots of soil and silt was flowing over the wall and down into the spring. Especially now that it's dry. It's been dry going on 18 months, off and on, 20 months really now, off and on. Anyway, it's super important that we keep, when we do get flash rain, we keep sediment from washing down and pouring into this dry spring run, because then sediment would just build up and it wouldn't get flushed out like it would if the spring run was flowing. So anyway, we stabilized this main orifice right here. Excuse me. Main orifice there. Another main one there. This should all be 3 to 4 foot of water going down, flowing quite fast, probably 2 feet per second or so. Pretty swift. Again, average this time of year should be about 280 CFS. And today we're at 57 CFS. So historical low. Got the spring run historical marker, spring run 1 channel. Should be Comal salamanders in here. Of course, they're not in here right now, as well as riffle beetles. Normally there's bacopa and submerged Eleutheris, lots of bryophyte, mosses, the Dwigia repens when it's flowing. Now Now we've got mostly Bermuda grass, St. Augustine, Anacua, black willow, whatever that grass is. So it's turned into a terrestrial habitat, unfortunately. So it'll be interesting to see what it does when it gets submerged again. Eleochris is still there, thankfully, so maybe that'll come back. All of this has turned into St. Augustine grass from the park. Normally that area over there is nothing but springs, water gushing out. Again, just last week this area was wet, and now 1 week later it's super dry. Water levels dropped so much. Giant live oak, so you can always tell where historical springs are. There's a spring here because generally there's a live oak or a large tree right on top of them. So all the large trees around along the spring runs indicate a spring. You're coming down here. All of this was wet just a few days ago. You can see the Ludwigia repens is now completely immersed. The terrestrial, it will grow just fine that way for a little bit. Pedestrian bridge. Yeah, and finally we see water. And that's just stagnant. That's not even spring flow. That's just water that's condensed into some low spots. There's fish trapped. Fish trapped in here, mollies, sunfish. So that's about it. Bridge is pretty historical. There's a little water under it. And give you an upstream shot. So this is the new channel. It's a diversion channel that comes out of Landa Lake. And you can see just how low it is. Should be all the way up to here. So the water level should be the top of this bulkhead right here. So the deep spots are normally 8 to 10 feet. Right now they're probably about 3 to 4. You can see all of the high and dry aquatic vegetation on the shore. It's just been left out of the water because the water level has dropped so fast. Water level should be all the way up to here. Pretty low. The flow into this channel right now is about 5 CFS. This is the lowest I've ever seen it. Go up here. Kabamba is still doing quite well in this area. Vallisneria patch right there. All of this though is high and dry Vallisneria all the way down. You can see lots of toe erosion in this channel. We don't do any restoration in this channel. It's pretty much just left to its own device. But it is fountain darter habitat for sure. And if we go up here, can see all of this should be underwater. You go up here where there's still a little bit of flow. We'll see the Vallisneria and the flowing water, and then the Vallisneria high and dry, where the water is receding deeper into the channel. So all of this is Val. We'll go up around here to the weir. This is Sagittaria. It's topped out. It normally would be 4 to 5 foot underwater. And we'll go up to the weir. Here's the park office when you come into Landa Park. The channel gets super low. And then we hit the weir. So this is the weir dam. There's a USGS gauge here that measures CFS. Let's see if we can break in here. Here's the other side of the weir, which is just backed up vegetation mats that get washed in from Landa Lake. Normally water would go over the weir. You wouldn't even be able to see the concrete blocks of the weir. Right now water is just going underneath the weir and undermining it probably, but the water going over it has completely stopped. So the only water entering the lower part of the channel is just going underneath the weir. You see all the valve topped out there. But thankfully, with the weir, that at least keeps the water elevation on the upper end of the weir higher, which in turn keeps the water elevation in Landa Lake higher. So if this weir were not here, and this water level would be 4 to 5 to 6 foot lower, which means Landa Lake, most of Landa Lake would be dry right now. So thankfully we have the weir for water level control, especially right now. Super useful in keeping the water level in Landa Lake higher than it would be. On the upper end, just look how bad these vegemats are. This is all algae. It's algae, mix of algae, dead Vallisneria. You can see the grackles are walking on it. It's super thick. And this will just keep flowing down from Landa Lake with the little bit of wind and the little bit of flow that there is. It'll just keep backing up. It'll keep backing up in the channel. And it's just it will turn into a mess. It is not. People think that this is restricting flow. It's really not. There's plenty of water flow underneath it. There's probably about 6 or 7 foot of vertical water column below this veg mat. So there's plenty of water volume underneath it to keep the water flowing through. This is just a surface problem. But the birds are loving it. They are picking up bugs and getting nesting material.